What's going on here? Former Patriot, Super Bowl 51 champ Geno Grissom here. You're listening to Boston's Big Three presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right, Boston's Big Three, episode 76, is presented by none only than the BostonsBig3.com website. If you're watching on YouTube, this thing right here, BostonsBig3.com. A lot of merch coming out, a lot of new stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, you're looking at Babs wearing our sweatshirt. He's pointing at Brandon Watabe's poster. We have some Bill Belichick dollar bill merch coming out soon. We have a Rex Burkhead merch out. I think we're the only one throwing around Rex Burkhead merch around the Boston streets. A Bud Latte thing's coming up for Babs soon. Whole lot of good stuff's coming out. It's not just t-shirts. It's hoodies. It's posters. It's shower curtains. It's blankets. It's phone cases. It's whatever you want. We can make the design for you. That is something that we were promoting the other day. If you have a design that you want on a t-shirt, but nobody else sells it, personally hit my DMs at Ty Miller 508, or go to bostonsbig3.com, or go to Boston's Big Three Instagram. Go to Brandon Watabe. Go to anybody. Go to Spiking. We take your ideas and we make them merchandise so you can rep your favorite podcast's merch, rep your favorite merch's podcast. You just have a lot of. I started it, didn't know where I was finishing with it, but anyways, bostonsbig3.com.
Please give us your money, because we all need new laptops. We all need new equipment. I can't even get my computer to work. I'm doing the wireless today. Watabe needs a better computer to produce these shows. Tyler Miller's freezes every single time. Please give us your money, because look at what Brandon Watabe made right here.
Also, it's
pretty cool.
It's not like we're slinging terrible $2 t-shirts around Boston.
This is quality.
So yeah, any idea you want, hit us up personally. Hit us up on Boston's Big Three. Don't go through Ride the Wave Media. There's too many people on that, and it's gonna get lost. Go through the Boston Big Three page, and we'll make it for you. So last week,
Tyler will.
So last week I said that the Celtics would be playing in the NBA Finals. They're not. And I had a week to get my thoughts together. I knew I was going to come on this show, and I knew the biggest Celtics hater in the world, Babs, was going to come at me.
You got me this week, though.
I have some backup, but
Babs is outnumbered this week.
My opening thoughts. Watching this NBA Finals and seeing all the injuries that the Heat have is incredibly disappointing, because I think the entire basketball world would obviously prefer a healthy finals matchup, and I think it would be way better Celtics Heat. However, they choked it. The biggest problem with this entire postseason, we didn't have anybody that could close games. That is a gaping hole in an NBA team's success. If you can't finish games, you're probably not going to win a lot of games. So the Celtics didn't have that. They still have all the talent in the world. It looks like we're going to have one more year of Hayward. And we didn't even leave the bubble yet, and there was already rumors that we're going to get Oladipo for Hayward. Hayward's probably coming back, but I think if I was the GM, this is the year that you trade all your first-round picks in this draft.
Yep.
One, we have 3 first-round picks. You don't need 3 brand-new people into the NBA world coming into the Celtics team. That's not going to help you. That only takes up roster spaces. That only takes up G Leagues. That's just a waste of time.
They had 4 rookies last year, not even including Taco Fall.
Yeah. And I would get rid of Hayward right now. I've been on the pro Hayward trade. But if we want to talk about strictly trade value, he did play his best Celtics basketball in the bubble. Maybe it was the bubble effect. Who knows? But I feel as if you try to package Hayward, you pair him with literally every single pick you have in the first round this year. We have no reason, and I mean literally no reason, especially when you're basing all your draft stock off of limited college games and a combine. No reason. And then you sign Tatum. Before Babs comes at me, I just would like to say this one thing. And I know it's going to be one of those, how many years are we going to keep saying this? But this Celtics team is still so young. When the oldest player is 32 years old and he has 2 years NBA experience in Brad Wanamaker, and you have Jason Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown, you have Kemba, you have Smart. Kevin Smart's been in the league for a minute, but they're not the people who are supposed to lead this team. It's supposed to be Jalen and Jason, who are the fourth and third year of their team. What other third? Well, no, they're going to be heading into their fourth and third, right?
Yes.
Okay. No. They just play their fourth and third. What other third-year players are held to the expectations like this that it's finals or bust? It's finals or you're done. And this is your third year in the NBA, and Jason Tatum, you're making drastic improvements that nobody saw coming. He kind of jumped too early and put the expectations, I'm not saying too high, but they should have been in the finals. They absolutely should have been in the finals. But if we're going to rewind and go back on everybody's takes, everyone had Philly in the finals. Everybody had Milwaukee in the finals. Everybody had Toronto in the finals. Everybody kept writing the Celtics off. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not going to chalk it up for a disaster of a season. We didn't finish the year. We fumbled it at the end, but it was a very good year and a promising another future for the Celtics.
But you got to look and say something.
We're going to get better.
Something's wrong there.
There is something wrong.
If we've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 4 of the last 5 years and never made a finals trip, there's something to see there.
LeBron effect was real. There is no excuse why we couldn't have won this one.
Exactly. I agree.
It's tough to go through LeBron, but we should have beat the Heat. Instead, it is the Lakers walking into their 17th ring. I think it's going to be Lakers in 4 against this banged-up Heat. I don't think the Heat even make it a close series at all. And now Babs,
it's going to be Lakers by 30 every single game.
Now that I said my piece, my opening statement, Babs, let's hear it.
I mean, what's the LeBron effect? What does that mean?
Because LeBron's the best player in the league, and it's hard to get past him.
LeBron doesn't play in the Eastern Conference. Why does the LeBron effect even matter with the Boston Celtics making the NBA Finals?
Not this year. In the past. That's why we didn't make it the past couple of years.
Okay, it's just an excuse.
Brady effect.
Yeah.
Well, when I said 4 of the last 5 Eastern Conference Finals trip, LeBron was in the East for 3 of those 4.
Yep. First off, I'm just rattled because I'm not on my computer and I'm getting things set up. Tyler, you were saying how the Boston Celtics need to make a trade. How many years has the Boston Celtics fan base been saying that, and how many years has Danny Ainge done this with his hands? Go right behind him and just sit on him at the trade deadline. He's just done that over and over and over again. In the Miami Heat, it's funny because in our Ride the Wave group chat, we would talk about this. And Jay Lassard says, well, the Heat only play seven players. They have the chance to play up to 8 or 9 different players, but these players at any time can score 20 points. It feels like the Celtics are just stuck with 5 people and that's it. That's how I see the Boston Celtics.
6.
The one problem, and I will give you credit, Tyler Miller, and the Green Teamers out there, is that the Boston Celtics have never fully been together like for an entire season. It feels like they haven't been fully together for the last 3 or 4 years. There's always somebody out, there's somebody hurt. Like Hayward's situation. Let's say if Hayward never got hurt to begin with in the bubble, what would that chemistry be like going into that series against the Heat instead of just trying to throw him out there and see what happens? Just little stuff like that. Also to remind you, too, against the Toronto Raptors, if there wasn't COVID and they were playing in Toronto, they would have lost that game. They would have lost that game against Toronto. So they were even lucky to get into the Eastern Conference Finals. My thing is, you have Jaylen Brown secured. Is Jason Tatum truly going to be secured long-term for the Boston Celtics?
5 years,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, he's getting his experience. Yes, they can throw the max contract at him. Yes, he's going to be the top-tier player. I looked at today, and today is Thursday, October 1st, when we're filming this. Doc Rivers to the Philadelphia 76ers. I think that's a big move. I think
a good one.
You guys can say Doc Rivers is overrated. He hasn't done anything out there in LA, and I get that. I understand that. But Doc Rivers now coming back to the Eastern Conference, and this is Philadelphia's last final throw at saying, hey, we have players. We know we can do something with this. And having the Doc Rivers coach there, Doc Rivers going against his former team, the Boston Celtics, that puts me on the radar. It just shows me that that's a competent move in my opinion. I mean, hiring Doc Rivers, he was going to get hired somewhere. That's a competent move by the Philadelphia 76ers, your rival in the Eastern Conference. Boston Celtics, what are you guys going to do this offseason? We keep doing this. I fucking hate that GRD goes out there and writes this long post like, if you told me we're going to Eastern Conference Finals, I would have been so happy. It's NBA Finals or bust for the Boston Celtics these last couple of years. None of this, oh, yeah, we got to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're happy about it. Oh, like the year before that, we got, we didn't make it. This, that. No, it's NBA Finals or bust. Especially if you go 3 out of 4 years, to the Eastern Conference Finals, why can they not get over this hump? And a lot of it's Brad Stevens coaching. I mean, that team just gave up at the end. They were just chucking up threes in the fourth quarter. Classic Brad Stevens Butler basketball right there, by the way. I just think that you have to put the heat on Danny Ainge. And what stinks is you're in like basketball limbo. Like you're a team that's always going to be competitive, always making the playoffs, but you're never going to get over that hump. When you saw LeBron James finally leave the Eastern Conference, you're like, yes, here we go. We can make it. And then you got Giannis now. You got these other teams like forming now. We got Brooklyn. What's Brooklyn going to be like next year? We'll wait and see how Kyrie and KD mesh with each other. The Philadelphia 76ers, they were a basket away.
The Sixers will be the Clippers of the East for the next 5 years.
If Doc Rivers could only win one championship ring with the 2008 Celtics, we had 3 Hall of Famers, and his assistant coach is also an NBA head coach that's very successful, I put that a lot on the team.
And the last time he got out of the second – yeah. The last time Doc Rivers got out of the second round was in 2010, and he lost to Kobe in 7.
I'm trying to give credit to the other teams around. At least they're trying to make effort, whereas the Boston Celtics think they have something. And
something's happening. Don't. Something's going to happen.
Hey, yo, but
we've been saying that.
No, I guarantee you, timestamp it, look at the date, record this, whatever you need to do. The Boston Celtics are going to make a trade at some point because they don't have the roster space or the cap space to bring in 3 new rookies.
All right, that was my thing. One,
it's simple
this
math.
is the year to do it. Like, you got the good rookie. You have Tatum and Brown.
You think you're going to get 7 new players in 2 seasons?
You're not going to trade those picks. Keeping those picks are paying off. I'm fine. Like, we didn't need Romeo, which is infuriating because, like, Danny Ainge was very open about how he wanted Hero, and then he wanted to pick before us, and we got Romeo Langford. Grant Williams, best rookie in the Celtics, hands down. Taco Fall is kind of there as a meme right now. Like, he's more of like a situational player, which didn't work out. And then Carson Edwards, I don't know what he did all year. I don't even know why, like, people still kind of have faith in the guy. Like I don't think Carson Edwards is going to be good.
Good guard for a trade package.
You can package Hayward. You can package Hayward any team in 3 picks. You tell me Gordon Hayward and 3 overall picks isn't worth at least a piece. You don't need a superstar. You need multiple pieces. This is when you start to use like what the Bucks did. They had Giannis, and they didn't get superstars because nobody wants to go to Milwaukee. You build around Giannis. You have your core people. You saw the holes that you need. You need a shooter off the bench. You need a steady scorer. And you just need like I said it last week, we need an NBA vet, like not a Marcus Smart vet who's been there for 7 years or something like that in the NBA. You need someone just who's been there, done that. He's just like the old head in the locker room he knows what he's talking about. You need that type of veteran leadership in the locker room every single day of practice.
That's what the Miami Heat kind of had. If you look at their team, like Jimmy Butler is the name, but he really isn't like the best basketball player out there.
The father of that team.
But yeah, you had Haslam, you have Iguodala, then you have these young guys like Hero and Duncan Robinson. What the other guy? I can't say his name. The Iggy center over there
showed us exactly, like, it kind of proved my point. Iggy Game 6, he's been garbage all season, but he knows it's a big game. Yeah. He's been there before. It's in the postseason. He's been there almost past couple of 5-something years in a row. He's won multiple championships. He knows how to win important basketball games, and he just snapped the one game out of the year against us. That happens. You need something like that in your team. And then Jason Tatum, I know that's the whole thing with the Celtics is like, oh, he's only 22 years old. He's only blah, blah. But, when you hear yourself say it, he is only 22, 21. He's going to be here for a long time. He's not even close to touching his prime. And he's already an All-NBA talent. Jaylen Brown's going to be All-Star next year. I think all crazy things people are going to continue making jumps. They're not plateauing.
I think going into next season should be the Marcus Smart shouldn't be your locker room guy anymore. And that's not an offense to Marcus Smart. It's more that, hey, young guys, You've had the experience now. It's time for you to be the leader. It's time for you to be the voice. Jason Tatum needs to be more of a leader. Jaylen Brown needs to be more of a leader. These guys need to be more of leader roles instead of letting someone, like you just said, Marcus Smart's like the most veteran guy on that team, but only 7 years. It shouldn't be all on him. It should be on these other guys. I think that'd be a huge difference maker. I don't know. I mean, again, like the Celtics will be there in the playoffs next year. It's not like they're going to go away. Like it is what it is. It's just that Danny Ainge needs to get off his ass and make a move. He needs to make a move.
You're going to see it. You're going to see it because I feel like
I think
what you're saying isn't wrong. It's like exactly what Celtics fans have been saying for like literally the last 3-4 years. And this is finally the year, like long awaited. Something's going to happen. I promise. There's no way around it. Like the way they're like the Celtics are almost backed up against the wall to the point where they need to make a deal like that.
What's frustrating, Brendan, is the pieces are there for a dynasty to happen. Like they literally just extended Brad Stevens. You have Jaylen Brown extended. You're gonna end up, you'll sign Jason Tatum to an extension. You have the young core pieces to do this, but they're just missing that one or two like different link that can actually put this team together to dominate the Eastern Conference. And it's good for Brad Stevens' case to keep losing and losing and losing because it's just more experience that you're gaining. That when the time comes and they pull that trigger and they have that one or two player that they can get on this team, there should be no stopping the Boston Celtics at all. I believe in Brad Stevens. I believe in this. But it should come down to Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is the one who's going to get these players out there. And people are like, well, Brad Stevens is the one that coaches and does what he puts in and out. No, the Celtics need more depth. The Celtics need something else. Like they have certain pieces out there, but it's only going to get you so far. It's ready to make the move, Danny. Trader Danny. We always praise Danny. And he only makes that like one move every few years. And like you said, hopefully it's this season. Hopefully it's this year.
Who are you guys most impressed with on the Celtics in this playoff run?
There's one correct answer, and it's Jaylen Brown. Like I know that I always talk about every single time the Celtics are down. Minus the game he shot like 1 for 50. Every single time the Celtics are down. Every single time there's adversity. Anytime there's
hit some big shots.
Game improved so drastically. Like he would be the only, like I said this every single time I was watching the game. He's like the only one on the Celtics right now that wants to win this basketball game. Like even like if his jump shot's not falling, he'll either 1, try to shoot his way out of it, doesn't work. 2, shoots his way out of it, or 3, like he's gotten so much bigger and like stronger in his frame. He's been driving to the hoop and then he just bounces the defender off his shoulder, goes up for the easy layup. Like he attacks the rim. He plays with passion all the time. Like Smart does the same, but Smart plays like a moron sometimes. Yeah. We ride or die with him.
So that's where next year should be the transition from Smart to Jaylen Brown being the guy. And I do believe this. Marcus Smart kept them in. Like Marcus Smart got that team together, but it should be kind of it's somewhat passed down to Jaylen Brown and be Jaylen Brown's team. Like maybe Jason Tatum doesn't want to be that leader. He just wants to be the scorer. He just wants to be the guy that, whatever it is, what it is. It's like Julian Edelman. He's not a captain on the New England Patriots. He just comes in, does his work, and leaves. Maybe that's what Jason Tatum wants. But let Jaylen Brown be that vocal leader. That's the time that these guys got to start stepping up.
Yeah. All right, I was actually impressed with Brad Wanamaker off the bench.
Get him out of here.
I was all right, hear me out. I was never a big Brad Wanamaker guy until this season because I was able to actually see in these primetime games his consistency coming off the bench. Like, he's not going to be the flashy like Lou Williams 6-man giving you 30 a game, but he's consistent. He can make his layups. He can make his shots most of the times when needed, and his led the league in free throw percentage and made the tough layups, especially on fast breaks. I was pretty impressed with Brad Wanamaker. And then Marcus Smart had a few games where he showed out, especially at 5 threes in the fourth quarter against Toronto or something like that.
Just even Marcus Smart drawing the foul in game 1 to tie up the game at the end of regulation and makes me so upset at Jason Tatum to try to be the hero and shoot a 3 when he should have just drove in. It's just like they fumbled a couple games and, we can – I'm all about the big man. I've always said that. I've wanted Dwight Howard. I wanted Andre Drummond. I want big guys on the team. That's why I was a huge Taco Fall guy because I just want that big guy. But it's funny because the Celtics out-rebounded the Heat quite a bit this series. So Daniel
Theis was big board man out there.
He did. It's just that the costly turnovers, a lot of costly mistakes out there, bad basketball by the Boston Celtics. And the Heat also didn't play great sometimes too. They had the chance to capitalize on this team. And you can't go out there and say, well, they got screwed by the refs and they wanted the Heat versus Lakers or this and that. I think, if anything, the NBA wanted the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
Everybody did. It's Celtics Lakers.
Viewership is down 50%, as they said in our group chat.
Because it's 50%. Everyone knows it's over already.
They already know it's the Lakers, and the Lakers are going to take it. But if it was the Celtics-Lakers, the Celtics would put up a fight, even if they lose in 6 or even 7. Like, they would put up a fight to the end. Yeah. I just think also fatigue played a big part in this too in the bubble. Who knows what these guys were doing in their quote-unquote, off season. Some of them might have not been practicing. Some of them might have not taken it serious.
Tatum was open about not touching a basketball the entire time.
And another thing that needs to be talked about is Kemba Walker. This is the first time technically he went into a deep playoff run, even though he had like 3 months off.
It's the first time he's got out of the first round.
Yeah, so this is now added experience for Kemba Walker. And it looked like Kemba Walker, we haven't even talked about Kemba Walker. Think about that. We talked about Jaylen Brown. You talked about Tice before we talked about Kemba Walker. He's a complete afterthought.
Be careful. I will tolerate no Kemba Walker slander on this show.
It's not slander, but he's an afterthought. We just didn't even mention him in the first 20 minutes of talking. And now
he's a facilitator.
But he was the guy that you got. And it's like, this is going to be our piece. And it's like, he's not. Where's the Kemba Walker that you saw down in Charlotte? Like, that's what you wanted, and he didn't show up. But I'm gonna let him slide, because it's like, this is your first time actually getting to an Eastern Conference Finals, getting experience with this team.
And because it'll hurt me if you said something like that.
All right. Well,
you want to wrap up like the Boston Celtics season? Like, do you guys have like a favorite memory from this season? Because it was a fun season. Like, this season was 10 times more fun than last year. Like, don't get me wrong, it was fun.
Forget that me and Babs were at the last Celtics home game of the year.
Oh yeah, what game was that?
Ultimately, last thoughts until everyone pretends they're an NBA expert a year from now, and then they're not going to pay attention to the regular season at all. And everybody knows what they're talking about because they regurgitate tweets that they saw earlier in the day. The Celtics, yes, they'll be fine. Yes, they'll be back there. Is Brooklyn going to be scary next year? Yeah. Brooklyn is going to be unreal. Is Toronto going to be as good as they are next year? No. VanVleet's gone. Siakam's a fraud. I've said it.
Siakam's got the spin move. That's it.
Yeah. Milwaukee, this is the last year of Milwaukee, probably. Will Giannis even be there by the end of the year? Who knows? They might, you never know what's going to happen with NBA players nowadays. It's all about a team. It's all about a player, not about a team. And then, I don't know. I think the Celtics will be fine. We'll be back in the playoffs. We'll be back in the semifinals. We'll be clawing our way to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I said in the beginning, and I know it's the whole thing that Celtics fans get made fun of. We are crazy young. We are unbelievably young. We have all these hate and expectations towards the Celtics right now. It's like, oh, you keep choking it. These kids are they would have just graduated college by now. Basically, they're like, oh, you have. They're
literally me and Tatum are the same age, and
the Celtics will be okay. Tatum's here for 5. Tatum is going to be here for 5. Brown's. This is our window. Once Tatum's contract runs up, and if we still haven't won a ring, then I'm worried. I don't think Tatum resigns twice anyways. But I think this is the 5-year window that Danny Ainge can put all his chips in. This is why, we were talking about in the beginning, this is the year that Danny Ainge uses the pick. Like we said, there's no room, there's no need to have 3 young guys, and there's no reason for Hayward anymore. I was a team Hayward for the longest time, but now I'm just like, get him out of town, dude.
Tyler,
it was fun while it lasted.
My main problem with the Boston Celtics over the last couple of years has been this. It's been a juggling act. You went from Isaiah Thomas to Kyrie Irving and Terry Rozier and Al Horford, and then all of a sudden all those guys are gone, and it's like, and they're still managing to go far, and they're still managing to do this. It's just this juggling act needs to stop, and they need to have a set team, and they have the future there ready to go. And now we're talking about juggling away Gordon Hayward, and it's like Gordon Hayward comes and see you later. But they still have that piece of Jaylen Brown there. They still have the Jason Tatum. You have Kemba Walker locked into. You have the pieces there. Stop juggling. Just fucking take all your assets that you need and make the decision and go all in for a championship. You need to do that soon. We just can't keep juggling shit around. You're getting sick of it. Like you said, these guys are young. The Boston Celtics are always going to contend. It always makes me think, Tyler, in the regular season back in March, what would this team have been like if they actually played it all the way out through April, May, and June? They probably could have had crazy chemistry and went on a good run, and I think they should have been in the finals. Like they should have. They
Kemba
against
probably wouldn't have been playing though. Kemba was hurt.
Saying the last time they played this Lakers team and they're healthy, won by 30.
Yeah, COVID messed it up, but you had that break. There's no excuses for any side. Like there is an excuse. Like I just said this today
and
too
if
about the
Celtics fans say this is a fake season when the Lakers win this ring, like we would have been saying,
GRD will.
Yeah,
it was fake season anyways.
If there's one person,
there's two football stories I want to kind of talk to about before we go into our picks. First,
Celtics. It was a fun season. Take care.
I just want to say if there's one person that deserves the asterisk, it's LeBron James. He doesn't care. Let him carry it. If anyone wants to say it's fake, let him do it.
3.5 rings. 3.5.
Yeah. 3 rings and a ring pop.
I like that.
You got COVID has finally made an impact. Week 4 in the NFL. Now, if you think that there hasn't been NFL players already been playing with Corona, then you've been living under a rock. It's a numbers game at this point. There's 100% players playing with Corona already. Titans and Steelers delayed to a TBA date. And then this is what we said going into the year. Like the MLB, you saw it. You can reschedule an MLB game the next day. You can't do that with football.
Yeah, football's a lot harder.
With scheduling errors, I have no idea when they're going to reschedule this. It's probably
fantasy football.
Monday. Yeah. So thoughts on that? I guess the Corona thing. The Corona thing that's going around. But like, how do you think that it'll impact it on a greater scale, or is this kind of just like let's maintain this in house as much as possible, just cancel this game and hope to God that nothing else happens?
Good Lord, I have no idea what they're gonna do. Babs might have something, but this is the one sport that rescheduling a game is the hardest thing you can do because of all the money implications, the time slots they have for each game, on each channel on Fox, CBS, NBC, ESPN. It's all nailed down to a very specific time. It's really hard to find another spot to move those around. It's going to be interesting to see what the NFL does. I was expecting it to just get rescheduled to Monday Night Football, what sounded like the initial response was going to be, but pushing it back even further because they got to get all these tests, figure out who's all affected.
Well, that was the big thing when they first released the schedule back, and they postponed the schedule, and they usually release it right around April, right before the draft or something like that, or after the draft. They didn't release the schedule till May, and there was talks about having a secondary schedule. Remember, there's some fake leak schedules where everyone kind of played their divisions. They should have kept it like that this year, just in case if something like this broke out. And also, they should have added an extra bye week for all teams, just in case. But the NFL decided that they like to wait on everything last minute. They just said, fuck it, let's go. COVID's fake, and we'll just continue going on. I shouldn't say I feel bad, but it kind of sucks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're forced into a bye week now. And what they're going to end up doing is they're going to swap bye weeks later, 7 and 8. And they actually asked Mike Tomlin, how does it feel to play 13 weeks in a row? And he said, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. Whatever. It's just it's our job pretty much. We have to do it. What we have to do. But Ben Roethlisberger not having a bye week now in that 13-week stretch kind of hurts, especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers with all these injuries that have been going on. I just think that the NFL, it was bound to happen. I feel like the NFL is actually not releasing a lot of things that they should. I feel like there's more people that have been sick or that have gotten COVID, and they just had to pick the Tennessee Titans or something. Someone had to take the fall at some point.
I think they hit double-digit positives. I think they left all the single-digit positive test teams. They just when an ice cube falls when you're making the water and you just kick it under the fridge. I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
Spike King knows that someone on the Patriots had COVID. I swear to God, they had COVID, and the Patriots and the NFL never said a thing about it because it comes down to what they call a HIPAA violation, and you can't release medical information about somebody, so they can keep certain things hidden. That's what Donald Trump was trying to do anyways, and take things away from the CDC reporting numbers like what China did. When China had all this stuff coming out about COVID, it just stopped because the government just stopped counting cases. And I feel like the NFL is doing the same exact thing. I'm telling you that shit's going on. I do want to just actually go off to a different tangent right here about COVID, and this year has benefited the Patriots a little bit because not only these road games, like you're going to play, they just played against Seattle and there's no fans there. They're playing in Kansas City this upcoming week, which we'll get into. It's 20% capacity. And the biggest thing is the IR. The IR, you're allowed to take players on and off there unlimited amount of times. And Belichick has been doing this. He put Damian Harris on there. He put Damian Harris on there, Kajust. He had another, Gunnar Olszewski. They all just came off this week. Now he's putting Sony Michel on there. He's putting another person on there. And he's doing this on purpose to have players active and deactivated. You could do what the rule used to be is only 3 players can go on the IR and they have to stay out for 9 weeks. You can activate them after the 9th or 10th week, and then you can only activate 2 out of the 3. This year it's unlimited. It's like a COVID IR list. And Belichick is being smart about it and putting players on. Why is Sony Michel going to the IR? He shouldn't be going to the IR. Why is Damian Harris or Gunnar Olszewski on the IR? They don't belong on the IR. He's just doing this on purpose. So there is a little bit benefit that Belichick's doing and thinking ahead like that, especially when we're watching the Jets game in the background here in Denver, and they've had major injuries. Belichick is just making sure they have fresh legs and they can stay up for the entire season.
Okay, well, speaking
Are you
of
talking?
fresh legs,
Are you talking about the game in which the Jets may win?
Nope.
Okay.
They were favored.
Yeah, my Broncos money line. In later news, is Julio Jones going to be a Patriot by week 5?
According to Babs, he is. Babs is my source, and apparently he's already on the Patriots.
I don't think he plays this week. He's questionable. I don't think he plays, and I think he's in New England suiting up for week 5.
No.
Based on all the tweets I've seen today,
No.
I'm just drinking that Kool-Aid.
So Babs has been all over Odell Beckham and trying to push that narrative. And we'll get into Cleveland in a little bit later. That ship has sailed. I heard about Marvin Jones Jr. being a potential target. They definitely need a wide receiver help. We'll see what Gunnar Olszewski does. Gunnar Olszewski was like the best wide receiver in training camp, or second best wide receiver, and now he's coming off the IR week 4, and he's going to play against Kansas City, so we'll see what happens there. The Julio Jones thing just makes me kind of chuckle because I came on here I came on Instagram Live, and I talked about I just want to start a trend with Julio Jones to the Patriots, and let's just get everyone fooled. Someone made a fake Adam Schefter tweet, and I posted it the other night. And I just said, like, speak it into existence. And it got shared like 5,000 times on Instagram. So it started spreading, and people were DMing me like, dude, is this happening? Oh, my God, you called it, blah, blah, blah. Then Dan Shea over at the 2-Minute Drill, when I woke up today, posted that tweet from Mo Chanel, who's a fake – the guy just tweets anything, and people pick up on it. Like Barstool wrote an article. He went on the Kirk Minahan show a year ago, and he talked about making up the Stephon Diggs to New England thing. And then even the 2-Minute Drill is getting in on the action saying like, oh, is this going to happen? It's a rumor swirling around. I will give this to Jay Lassard. He's super correct on this. Jay, the Pats fan, I know you're listening out there. The Atlanta Falcons would be held on dead cap $32 million if they trade Julio Jones away this year. They're not going to – Atlanta Falcons love blowing stuff. They love blowing these giant leads. Do they want to blow giant money? I don't think they're going to do that. So Julio this year to the Patriots, no. And also I will say this lastly, Cam Newton hasn't signed an extension. Why are you going to go get a wide receiver for X amount of years already signed to a contract if Cam Newton's not going to be here? Because a Julio Jones or
incentive.
an incentive for Cam to stay, but a Julio Jones but then you might be tying up too much money into Cam Newton. That's another thing too. You might be tying too much money in general. But I still think that Stidham's going to start next year. I think Stidham's going to be their guy next year. I don't think Cam Newton signs an extension. I don't see him staying here in New England. That's just my personal opinion, and I'm always wrong. You can boo me for that. But, his whole thing about I'm not in it for the money is complete bullshit. If some team offers him $40 million guaranteed, he's taking that money guaranteed somewhere else. Like, that's just how it's going to work. But I just say in terms of like the OBJ or Julio Jones, if you have these guys on lengthy contracts and then Cam Newton walks and all of a sudden Jarrett Stidham's thrown to them, it doesn't mean they're going to have a great connection with each other. It could be worse for them. So I think they're going to end up getting a veteran wide receiver. And A.J. Green has been tossed around a lot too. A.J. Green was franchise tagged by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Do you think the Bengals part with him even if they got a young quarterback with a bright future?
So they got A.J. Green there as a guy to help Joe Burrow and be that veteran guy. But if the Bengals aren't going to go anywhere in a couple of weeks and they know that their season's lost, and they know they can at least recover and recuperate something off of AJ Green, like a 4th-round pick, they're probably going to end up doing it. And I think that's what we're going to be waiting for is when that trade deadline comes, what teams are in it, what teams are out of it. And Belichick doesn't care about draft picks. Like, that's why I was so adamant about a 1st and a 3rd for Odell. This guy traded out of the 1st round to go to the 2nd round and get a D2 player. That's Bill Belichick. Like, he does not care about his picks. He does not care about any of them. And especially this year with COVID, you don't even know how college football is going to be and how these guys look and this and that. So things have definitely changed. I think that Patriots will make a move, but it's just going to be a 1-year rental type of wide receiver. I don't think they're going to do anything big.
And you said Gunner's playing this week, right? At least he came off the IR?
Gunnar Olszewski's off the IR officially. Okay. So that's a big help. Damian Harris, who is in his 2nd year, pass catching back in the backfield. Like, he's going to be your new James White. James White's back this week, which is huge as well, too. He would have been great to have in Seattle. He's got a lot to play for as well. And Sony Michel, he's now in the IR, like, out of nowhere. Or that's what I was told. I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I mean, this team, like, heading into Kansas City, I feel confident that they're going to win this game. Yeah. I feel absolutely confident. It's the defense has got to step it up. And just say the last 3 times they played Kansas City, they shut them out in one of the halves, whether it was the 1st or the 2nd half. They shut them down. My
question about Gunner is because Cam has become notorious for giving these guys some nicknames up in New England. Want to get a guess. What do you think? If Gunner plays, what do you think Cam Newton's nickname for Gunnar Olszewski becomes?
It's got to be Gunnar Olszewski's got to do something.
It's an easy name to, like, find a few nicknames in there.
Like a cowboy.
Cowboy?
Like some sort of cowboy name, I think. I don't know.
What about you, Tyler?
007. Better be.
007? I like Gunner? That. I'm going to go with Ollie.
Ollie's a good one.
So, Joe's not on the show today. We're going to get into our week 4 picks. Let me pull up the records. I forget what they are.
Babs did not do well last week.
Joe,
Babs went a solid 7-7-1 last week.
Joe's going to put in his picks right here.
What's up, everybody? Joe Stafford here. Sorry I was on the show yesterday, but I'm here for my picks of the week in the NFL, week 4. Here we go. The Chargers and the Buccaneers. I'm going with the Buccaneers straight off the bat here because the defense is playing phenomenal football right now. Justin Herbert, while he's shown me a lot in his couple games starting here, I think the Buccaneers take this game. I have a gut feeling about it as well. Coming on next time here, the Browns and the Cowboys. I'm going with the Cowboys. Baker Mayfield showing me that he's a pedestrian quarterback at best. He has probably the best arsenal of weapons in the NFL around him and still can't produce really anything. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys in this one. Dak Prescott's also playing phenomenally. While I want to see him, incorporate CeeDee Lamb a little bit more, I do trust his ability to win this game against the Cleveland Browns. Next on the dock here, the Ravens and the Washington football team. Ravens, guys. It's not really a question on that one. Next up, the Seahawks and the Miami Dolphins. I'm going with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. He'll drop another 5 touchdown passes this week. The Dolphins defense, while, talented, is still a couple years away from being dominant. Ryan Fitzpatrick is no longer September, so he's going to fall off a cliff. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks here. Next game on the docket, the Vikings and the Texans. I'm going to go with and that's a tough game, too, because the Texans need a W. They're both 0-3, the Vikings and the Texans. I just think Deshaun Watson outduels Kirk Cousins. It could be low scoring, it could be high scoring. It's kind of hard to get a read on this game, but I'm going to go with the Houston Texans as well. Next in the docket here, the Saints and the Lions. I'm going to go with the Detroit. I'm just playing. I'm going with the New Orleans Saints here. I love Uncle Matt, Matthew Stafford, but I just don't think the team is really even comparable. Michael Thomas might be back as well this week. I'm going to go with New Orleans Saints here. Next on the agenda, the Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe Burrow gets his first W as an NFL quarterback. He's been robbed by 3 times now because his defense can't stop a nosebleed and his offensive line stinks. But it's the Jaguars. I think it'll be a good, young quarterback battle between him and Minshew Mania, but I'm still going to go with Joe Burrow and Houday Nation. Up next in the docket, the Colts and the Bears. To finish up this 1 o'clock docket date. And this is tough because the Bears actually, get Nick Foles starting now. I hate Mitch Trubisky. I don't know if I told you guys before. I hate Mitch Trubisky. And the Colts have looked very, very average. Phillip Rivers has not really shown me a lot. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears on this one. Next up, the Cardinals and the Panthers. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I don't really think it's a question for me. The Panthers, well, Teddy Bridgewater's been a good game manager. That's all he is, a game manager. And Christian McCaffrey is still coming back from injury. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals here. 4 o'clock game, Giants and the Rams. Better game than people realize, and Sean McVay actually got clowned for saying it was going to be a good game. But I'm going to go with the Rams regardless. Daniel Jones has no help on the offensive side of the football. Saquon Barkley is just obviously injured. The offensive line is not doing him any favors. His weapons around him. Sterling Shepard's out still. The pieces aren't there yet for Daniel Jones and the Giants. So I'm going to go with the Rams here. One of the biggest games in the docket here, the Patriots and the Chiefs. And I was so tempted to take the Patriots here, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I got to keep my record up. I got to keep the league-leading record up for Boston's Big Three. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs here. It will be a good game, I think. I really hope I'm wrong on this one. I just think the Chiefs have too many weapons for the Patriots defense to keep up with. Next up, the Bills and the Raiders. And that's actually a better game than people realize as well. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills here. Josh Allen's playing MVP-type football. Yeah, MVP. I said it. MVP-type football. I'm going with Buffalo here. I think the Raiders are going to hit a rut now that they lost to the Patriots. It's kind of shown the blueprint for how to stop this Raiders offense is basically hit Darren Waller off the line and cover him downfield. And that's all they have to do to stop this offense. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills here. On the docket next, 8:20 football, prime time, weird prime time game this week. The Eagles and the 49ers. What a gross game. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers here. Carson Wentz has digressed in a very, very unsatisfying way the past couple weeks here. His offensive line is horrible. His defense outside, their front seven is really struggling. I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. To finish off this game schedule here, the Falcons and the Packers. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers here. Matt Ryan, I think his time in Atlanta is done. So is Dan Quinn's. I think Julio Jones might get traded before the season is up. They just don't look like a good football team. They're functional. They're blowing 15-point leads, multiple 15-point leads into the season so far. So I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Those are my picks for week 4, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, so those were Joe Stafford's picks.
Thanks, Joe.
Going into last week, Brandon 10-4-1, Joe 11-3-1, Bab 7-7-1. And me, 10-4-1. Overall records. Joe is in first, 30-14-1.
Oh, nerd.
Second, 29-4-1. 14-1.
Nerd.
Yeah. Brandon, 26-18-1.
There you go. Coming for it.
Babs, 25-19-1.
All about to come back.
We're gonna see what next.
Babs, you've progressively you started in first place week 1 and have gone down a level every week to.
I've been consistent.
Hey, I was in first week. I was first, tied for first. Now I'm in second by a game.
It's all same thing.
I just want to beat Joe. Like all of you want to beat Joe.
The long season, guys.
So week 4 picks. Right
all
now,
records have a
said,
blemish on them now because of that freaking tie.
Can we?
Jets ball.
Wait. Can we just say? Can we get rid of that tie? I don't want to.
The and one.
That's
on
like
there.
a push. It's like a push.
I'll put it at the end, at the very end of the year. Yeah, we. Can
Yeah, we all picked the same one. It wouldn't matter if someone said tie and they end up getting that right. I don't know. Just get rid of that because we can't be saying that all year long.
Unless it's the second tie.
Number and one. If,
all right,
if there's a tie and you call it, it should be worth like 10 wins.
Saints, Lions. I can't tell if the Lions are good. I think the Lions are just the Lions every single year when they win stupid games and they lose the games they should win. Saints, Kamara is a animal. Kamara is a beast. Yeah, Saints, Lions.
Saints haven't won since week 1, right?
Didn't they win last week?
I don't think so.
No, they're 1-2.
Yeah, they only won against the Bucks.
All right, then they're definitely coming back. Saints.
Yeah, they got to win.
That's
Saints by 1 million. Hold on. I got to type all these down. I forgot that was my job.
So I got to look up because I don't have my cell phone. I have the computer now in front of me, and I want to make sure I pull up the NFL Vegas odds. I just went over to Twin River today. I drove a little extra further today because Babs parlays, I think he's like 0 for 25 right now. But
45-team parlays.
All it takes is one. And this week, I'm going to tell you what.
No.
All these picks coming up this week. I'm not a big fan of the there we go. I'm not a big fan of the underdogs. I've been picking a lot of underdogs. Not a lot of underdogs this week.
All right. That makes me a little more confident in you.
Yeah, this week I'm going to be picking some heavy favorites. I just wanted to pull up the Vegas lines because I do want to mention some of them. So let's talk about what you just said was I know in the top of my head already, but Saints-Lions. So the Saints are actually favored in this game 4.5 points. The big reason why the Saints lost the last 2 weeks, Michael Thomas. They didn't have Michael Thomas the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that Drew Brees has been getting made fun of. They said he's washed up. It's just that he doesn't have a star-studded wide receiver. And once that Michael Thomas does come back this week, which he will, they're going to absolutely blow out the Detroit Lions. The Lions, you got to give them credit because they did go into – I think they played in Arizona last week, and they won and they squeaked out a victory by 3 points. So you got to give – the Lions have to win at some point. They're not going to go 0-16 every single year. So a little credit to the Detroit Lions. They're going to have those squeaky wins, eke them out. But it's absolutely the New Orleans Saints, and I would take them 4.5. A lock, an easy lock.
Chargers, Buccaneers. I think this is when Brady rattles off a couple wins in a row now. I think like his schedule is going to look light these next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Bucs over Chargers. And
I feel like there's a few.
If I can preview it, I'm taking a 5-game win streak.
Oh, for the Bucks?
Yeah.
I think Tom might mess around and throw like 5 touchdowns this game.
Never know, but I picked Bucs.
And on his way to a win, of course.
So Tampa Bay, I absolutely agree. Their schedule is going to easily open up. Last week, Tom Brady threw for 3 touchdowns. He looked like classic Tom Brady. I still don't trust the team in general on special teams and defense to get it done, especially against maybe a Seattle Seahawks team later in the year. I mean, they're going to have some easy wins. I thought last week I picked the Bucs, I think last week, because it just felt like this is the game that Tom Brady's going to actually do something. Rob Gronkowski actually had a couple yards, couple targets in that game. I believe the Bucs are -7 in this game, and I would take them -7. They're going to blow it out yet again. They're at home, so take them. Tampa Bay.
Jags, Bengals. This is the first week Joe Burrow gets a win. Picking Bengals.
That's what I said last week, too. I don't know if I can trust it again. Gonna go with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow, wait, did Sam Darnold just throw a pick 6?
Did he? I hope he did. That's
No.
on brand.
Sure.
Melvin Gordon just rushed it in for a touchdown. They turned the ball over. Also, shout out to GRD. He put $500 on Melvin Gordon to score a touchdown at any point this game. So he ended up winning 900. Gambling.
All right, back to it.
Who are you picking there, Brandon?
I took the Jags.
So interesting game. I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars where were they Thursday Night Football against Miami? It just they completely disappeared. What happened to Minshew Mania?
It's magic, baby.
Cincinnati Bengals. Joey covers. Is his name. In the last 3 weeks, Joe Burrow has covered the spread for the Cincinnati Bengals every single time. This week, they're favored by 3 points. That means the Cincinnati Bengals will win by 4 points. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals this week.
Uh-oh.
Joe Burrow played pretty well last week against the Eagles, too. You got to give him some credit right there as well, too.
On the Detroit Lions, who are also 1-2 on the young season.
What's happening here?
Who's playing that?
We got insight. You got outside insight. What is that? Are you cheating again? You're cheating? Don't make me tell Jay the Pals fan.
He's still muted. All right, Vikings, Texans. This is a winner go home match, I think. 2-0-3.
They haven't won. Yeah, they haven't won yet.
Back 2-0-3 teams. Now the Texans, they played the Chiefs, they played the Ravens, they played the Steelers. All who I think are very, very good teams in the AFC. Vikings, on the other hand, they faced the Titans, they faced the Packers. Who else did they lose to?
They played good. They played 3 good teams. They played the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Steelers.
No, that's Texans. Yeah, I'm talking Vikings.
Yeah, we're talking Vikings.
Vikings,
Titans, Packers, and some others.
And
Bears.
the Vikings and the Colts. Colts.
It was Colts. Either way, I think. See, I have
2.5
no idea.
good teams.
My gut tells me Vikings. The Vikings have so much more talent.
You're gonna pick with Kirk Cousins here.
Watson.
You have to put your faith in Kirk Cousins here.
I'm putting my faith in Dalvin Cook.
Oh.
Adam Thielen.
No, put it in Kirk Cousins. I want to hear you say it.
I'm not putting my faith in Kirk Cousins. I'm hoping for a Wildcat Thielen and a Dalvin Cook, another 45 fantasy point game.
I do not trust Kirk Cousins, and I am verbal about it now. I trusted him for a few picks in the past, and it's really screwed me. I'd be in first place if it wasn't for Kirk Cousins. But I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson and the boys down in Houston. I think Brandon Cooks gets on the board this game. I don't think he's got a touchdown yet this season. I think he gets his first, and Randall Cobb gets involved in the offense too.
Shout out to Randall Cobb, who was on Stafford and Matthews, and then all of a sudden the next week he scored a touchdown for the Houston Texans. That little magic rub from Boston's Big Three Network.
Rubs off.
So it was funny because when I went down to Twin River today, I was looking at putting a bet on this game, but they didn't have it. For some reason, because of COVID and the Titans just played Minnesota, Vegas pulled this game off the boards. And because they didn't know what was going to happen with the game, but they are going to play this week because no one tested positive on Minnesota. The thing is this: I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again this week. I said this in the Babs Parlay of the Week. I picked Houston last week as an underdog against Pittsburgh. I knew they were probably going to end up losing anyways because I want Bill O'Brien fired. I think it's time that the Houston Texan fan base needs him fired, and they need the legitimate excuse to get him fired, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it. You're against an 0-3 Minnesota team. Minnesota on the same side. Why are you 0-3 as well, too? And they put up a dogfight again last week. They lost 31-30. I mean, I look at
Gostkowski, I think he had 5 kicks.
Gostkowski's hit a game winner for the last 3 straight weeks in a row for the Titans. So it's crazy. He won AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Wow.
Steven Gostkowski.
The Patriots cut a guy like that?
I think it was also in 3 different decades, if I saw the stat correctly.
I have to
09, somewhere in the 10s.
I think you're right, yeah.
I was gonna make a post about that. Maybe one of you can whip up a good post about it. But I thought that would be an actual good post to maybe piss off Patriots fans because of Nick Folk, what he's been doing. But I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings in this game. I'm picking the Vikings more so because I want to see the Houston Texans fire Bill O'Brien. I actually want to see a coach get fired during the season during COVID. Imagine getting fired during a COVID season. Now you're really
jobless. Getting fired, they gave him a GM role too. It's like you got to look at this. The Texans are a bunch of morons.
Traded DeAndre Hopkins.
And I want that to make it. I want them to look more stupid by that trade that they did with DeAndre Hopkins.
Bill O'Brien literally told DeAndre Hopkins to his face that he reminded him of Aaron Hernandez, and they kept the coach. He's like, the only time I've had a confrontation this weird was with Aaron Hernandez.
Oh my gosh.
The Minnesota Vikings are not on Babs as underdogs of the week, but I do have them in one of my parlays.
I'm sticking with the Texans. I do agree with you, though, that one of these teams has to be 0-4. It does seem like the Texans are more likely that team.
Seahawks, Dolphins. If any of you are picking the Dolphins, I don't know what you're doing.
I'm not even going to put Dolphins on the game list. It's just this is the Seahawks game.
The major thing here is the 6.5 point spread. I actually think that's somewhat low, and I only think it's low because it's Seattle traveling to the East Coast, playing 1 o'clock. Babs, you never pick West Coast.
They're playing the Dolphins.
Yeah, but it's
they're playing the Dolphins. I was just going to say the Dolphins had a pretty good outing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though that means really nothing either. 6.5 points. Russell Wilson is absolutely on fire. He threw 5 touchdowns last week.
He might throw 10 against the Dolphins.
I will say that the defense for Seattle has not been that great. I think they've given up the most passing yards in total or something like that. So Ryan Fitzpatrick ain't going to be throwing all over them, but Seattle should win this soundly. They should win by 14 points.
I think they win by like 30.
It's Browns, Cowboys. All right, so I'm picking Cowboys, but I'm going to say this. The Browns aren't that bad this year. The Browns, like Baker Mayfield, for as much slack as he gets from the media, or as much as hate he gets on Twitter or on Instagram or a bunch of all these pages, Baker Mayfield's having a pretty decent year. The Browns are having a pretty decent year. Are they better than the Cowboys? No. Are the Cowboys going to win? Yes. And that's my pick. Sorry.
I believe that the Browns are going to win this game. Is it in Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be Cowboys fans there, so you're going to be able to hear the boos. And I'm doubling down. I'm going to say there's going to be a broadcast shot of Jerry Jones in his presidential booth, and he's just going to be like slumped over, just mouth open, just what went wrong.
You never know, Babs.
I am all for the Cleveland Browns this week. I have them as my lock of the week underdog upset. Dallas Cowboys are 4.5 point favorites going into this game. The Dallas Cowboys are a fraudulent 1-2 team. The only win was because the Falcons blew a 20-point lead to the Dallas Cowboys. When you saw it, and that's the thing that Brendan said. It's like cinematic. Week 1, they played the Rams, and they show him, it was I believe it was Sunday Night Football, and they show him up in the press box, and he looked pissed at Dak Prescott. He looked pissed at that offense. Then you go off to the next week, they play the Atlanta Falcons. He looked pissed, but guess what happened? They end up coming back, and Jerry Jones is up there, and he's celebrating. Who did they just play last week? The Dallas Cowboys.
Seahawks.
Who?
Seahawks.
So you can't really – they held themselves in that game. They did. They absolutely did.
Yeah,
they held themselves.
It came down to the end that Russell Wilson's the best deep ball throw in the league. I'm just going to throw that in there.
But again,
it's not close.
But again, the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks defense ain't that great, and I think the Cowboys just kept themselves in it. Nothing would be better than the Cleveland Browns going into Dallas, where they're touting that we have the most fans right now in the NFL that can come to our games, and Jerry Jones gets embarrassed by the Cleveland Browns. And I'm with you. The Cleveland Browns, Tyler, they look great this season. Last year, they were paper champions. Last year, they were saying they were supposed to win the AFC. That's what people were saying in that first year together. They didn't do it. Them getting Kareem Hunt and taking the chance on him after the Kansas City Chiefs cut him, and the fact that Kareem Hunt got a second chance like this, the Cleveland Browns actually got something right, possibly, because that 1-2 punch from Hunt and Chubb is unstoppable.
200 yards a game.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that Hunt and Chubb changed their whole offense.
Even GRD was saying about Jarvis Landry. He's a huge Jarvis Landry guy. He's like, he hasn't really done much this season. That guy can get it going at any point during this time. It's going to come down to Baker Mayfield making these throws and doing everything right. I am picking the Browns in an upset, and I think it's a shocker. Some say it won't be a shocker, but the fact is the Cleveland Browns haven't been over 500 since 2011, and they're going to be 3-1. I think the Cleveland Browns are a playoff team. I'm going to start buying into the Cleveland Browns this year. They will make at least a playoff spot.
I'm excited for the morning after of this upset, and we got you guys. First Take. Stephen A. Smith. He hates the Cowboys. I'm just excited to see him in the morning. All, how about them Cowboys?
I do want to say this before we move on. The Giants absolutely stink. The Eagles absolutely stink. The Redskins stink, but they have a good head coach. And then the Cowboys
banish the division.
Team, but the Cowboys are the Cowboys. And when we look at this, all 4 teams are going to lose this week.
10 division champions.
You're going to look at this division and be like, how is the Washington football team still in first place? How is the Washington football team still in first place at 1-3?
You're going to have a team that goes 7-7 and 1 possibly making the playoffs there. That and 1 may be important.
Cardinals, Panthers. I'm picking Cardinals. I'm buying into the hype this year.
Yeah, Cardinals had a bad week last week. I don't know how they lost that game, but I think they bounce back this week. They get back on track. That's a good football team down there.
Carolina, I believe, played the Chargers last week, and the Chargers are more of like, are you believing in Justin Herbert? Are they legitimate? Because they had the game almost against Kansas City, kind of caught them off guard. But Carolina did pull up an upset last week, I would say, against the Chargers. This week, Arizona's heading to Carolina. They're about 3 to 4 point favorites. I think Arizona does bounce back, and they know as a team, every game counts. Remember, there's no 2 seed anymore. There's no 2 seed for a bye. So every game does count, especially when you're catching up to the likes of Seattle and trying to stay in that race. So I think that this team gets their shit together and they will pounce. I love Arizona and their spread this week.
Do you think anything changes between those 1 seeds? Like you just said, there's no bye week anymore. Do you think anything changes between the Chiefs or the Seahawks getting that 1 seed?
So this week for the New England Patriots, I mean, if
I'm
you want to get
long term.
Oh no!
Like when the season ends at the end of week 17, do you see Seahawks and Chiefs at the top of the board?
Depending on this week, like it really depends on this week. I think, in my opinion, with the Patriots, because I mean, just getting into that game now, Patriots and Chiefs. So let's just get into it now because the New England Patriots. Here's the thing: I was rooting for the Chiefs to beat Baltimore because now the Chiefs own the tiebreaker over Baltimore. So again, these 3 big matchups you had: Seattle, Kansas City, and Baltimore. It doesn't hurt as much losing to Seattle as it would to Kansas City, because what's going to end up happening is if the Patriots can pull this out, which I'm picking the Patriots, I'm not going to go against them because, and I'll get into it in a second, I do believe in them. You're going to end up owning the tiebreaker over Kansas City, So now that they'll be tied in the records, you'll own the tiebreaker over them. And then later in the season, you play Baltimore, you want to own the tiebreaker over them. That's how important this game is this upcoming weekend. If Kansas City wins this week, the Patriots can kiss that 1 seed goodbye. You're having a 2 seed. You're going to be playing wild card weekend. That's the way I truly look into it, because Kansas City ain't slowing down anytime soon.
Nope.
And I think that New England Patriots, if they can win this game, you have Denver next week, which they should beat Denver at home. They should be able to game plan and beat them, and you go into your bye week rested, and you can reset and maybe make a trade or whatever you have to do. This is such an important week. So I in terms of Seattle, I will say nothing's going to change on that end. But I mean, look at Pittsburgh and Tennessee in the AFC. They're both 3-0. Like there's some other top teams. The Buffalo Bills are 3-0.
But there's a different type of 1 seed, 3-0.
Yeah, and I think Kansas City should run away with it unless an injury happens. But I mean, Baltimore looked pretty fraudulent against Kansas City. They cannot overcome adversity. But again, New England Patriots, the big thing this week. Another Cam Newton outing. It's a must-win for Cam Newton. Cam Newton, the first time we said this, the first time in so long where the Patriots came off a loss and the fan base still thought it was a win. Yeah. That hasn't happened in like a long time here in New England. So this is Cam Newton's proving point. It was a proving point in week 2. I'd rather have it this week. I'd rather have you go into Kansas City and Arrowhead and get that victory. And I will say this, GRD will be in attendance. GRD undefeated. He's got no more basketball. He's got to root for something. He's hopping on the Patriots bandwagon. He'll be repping the Cam Newton out there in the Spike King. I think the Patriots, 7-point underdogs. I take the Patriots in this game. And that's my 3, and you'll hear my 3-team parlay later on, but they're part of that parlay. I would take the Patriots, especially the game plan. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is banged up. This is a big outing for the Patriots defense. They have to show up. Like, they have to show up against Pat Mahomes. And I think having a mobile quarterback in Cam Newton actually helps you get ready for a Pat Mahomes so you can mimic some of his play style and everything like that. These teams have been going at it as of late. The Patriots should have beat him last year in the regular season. The Patriots beat him in the AFC title game with Tom Brady. But this is going to be an exciting matchup, 425. I can't wait. And I'm picking the Patriots. And that's not being biased. It was either a coin toss between Seattle and Kansas City. And this is when I had Jarrett Stidham as our starter. I said this team was going to go 12-4, and I said they were going to lose one of those games. It was either or. They were going to at least win one. This is going to be this week. They're going to win.
I think the Patriots get smoked.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be honest.
Honesty at its finest.
Andy Reid can throw it to anybody on his offense, and he threw it to his left tackle for a touchdown. Like that.
Wow.
My expectations are going into this game is we are going to lose big. However, what I could see happening is like the Seahawks game, when it's another close win, when the game we have no business really being in. But Cam Newton, again, he shows he's still there. I don't think he gets the win. I think he keeps chipping away at it. I think we go 2-2 to start the year, which is what I thought. I thought we were going to lose to the Seahawks and Chiefs because, we lose Brady. We lose a bunch of people because of Corona or whatever. I'm picking the Chiefs. That's not me being anti-Patriots. That's me just the logical take.
You're being smart.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's
I
smart.
Move up in the records.
I think it's close. I think it's like a 3-4 point game. Comes down to like a last drive again. Let's see what Cam has in the last drive. But I just don't think he gets there yet. I'll be pleasantly surprised if we win this game. Like, don't get me wrong.
It's the last week of Bab's preseason, basically.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Preseason ends today. But I'm picking the
No,
Chiefs.
yeah, it ended yesterday, September. That was September
okay,
football. This
okay.
is October football. The Patriots,
So now it matters.
I forget what the record is, but they said the Patriots are like 9-0 or 10-0 or something like that in October. Like they haven't lost a game in a long time in October. So it's October
boys. All right. Yeah, I was very close to picking the Chiefs, but I have yet to pick against the Patriots on this show, so I'm going to keep that train rolling. Keeps going. Pat's by 1,000,000.
I want to just throw this question out there before we move on. If the New England Patriots get blown out like Tyler Miller thinks, how do the New England Patriots fan base react? Because
They win the Super Bowl. That's what happened last time. It's just the obvious answer.
If they get smoked, everybody's gonna run around like chickens with their head cut off. Like, oh, well, 500.
Where
500.
It's gonna be more like the Seattle game made you believe in this team, but then you get blown out against Kansas City. I think you're gonna be starting pointing fingers at Bill Belichick, saying, "Why doesn't this team have better players on the team? Like, why aren't you guys making a move?" It will be hell for Cam Newton. and that team will eat a lot of shit in the Boston media
It's all
market
for
going into
clicks,
that Denver
like-
game.
Well, what happened after?
They have nothing to win if we lose, obviously. Like, if they lose this week, then the media is going to eat them alive because they need to get their storylines to kill time
Yeah,
between then
yeah.
weeks. Like, it's just going to be a bunch of white noise.
Well, you can also say that the Patriots haven't beaten a good team. Technically, the Raiders were a good team when they
Raiders
came
are
in the last week.
They aren't. But
But you haven't beaten a good team in over a year. Like last year, they didn't beat any good teams. All the teams they won against were pretty bad teams. All the teams they were supposed to try to beat: Kansas City, Houston at the time, Baltimore, and then Tennessee. You lost to 4 good teams last year. They had 4 losses total last year. The other 12 wins they got were against bad teams.
Well, the last time Patriots got blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs, they won the Super Bowl that year, and Bill famously said afterwards, "We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We'll
Colts
be on to
Bears.
Denver if we get blown out in this game."
I'm picking the Bears and the Colts versus Bears, and I know the Bears aren't 3. Like, they are 3-0. They're not a 3-0. They're not an undefeated team. They're not one of the top tier teams. However, until they lose a game, I'm riding with them. I'm riding with them until they prove otherwise. So I'm picking Bears over Colts in Chicago, and they have a lot on the line, leading the AFC North. Picking them.
Tyler, what quarterback are you putting your faith in here?
I'm putting it in Mitch Foles. Either way.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know who the quarterback is for that team. I don't think that's a
Mitch
great sign for a
Foles.
3-0 team. But I think I'll go with the Colts here. I love listening to Phillip Rivers mic'd up, and that's the sole reason I'm going with the Colts this game. He's so funny. Dang nabbit. I'm going to be saying we'll have some Phillip Rivers lines if he loses this game next week. But I'm rolling with the Colts to take down the undefeated Chicago Bears.
Who did the Colts play week 2? If you can look that up for me real quick before I get into it. I think that the Bears are a fraudulent 3-0 team. They've gotten very lucky to even be there. They had the Saquon Barkley torn ACL game, and that they almost came back, and it was a last-minute throw. They won that game 17-13. I know that they beat the Atlanta Falcons, I believe, the Chicago Bears, like just another fraudulent win.
Colts beat the Vikings.
They
beat the Vikings week 2. Okay, so I wanted to flip this into Indy side. Indianapolis should be 3-0. They should have beat the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1. They got Minshew'd. Like, they got Minshew'd out there, and it was an embarrassment loss. Last week was the week where it was like they got to play the Jets, and they like beat the fuck out of them and Sam Darnold threw 2 pick sixes that game. That was a good way for that team to be home, to get their shit together. Shout out Xavier Rhodes, like a top cornerback in my mind in this league, obviously a top 10 corner. I think that he shuts down Allen Robinson this week. I think that they're going to show up, and I do believe in the Indianapolis Colts this week. They're favored 2.5 points, and I would take that spread as well too. The Chicago Bears got to lose at some point, but man, if the Chicago Bears go
They keep
4-0,
stumbling their way into wins, bro.
if they sneak their way into all these wins and they become a playoff team, Big Dick Nick does it again, man. Like, it's just you ride with the Nick Foles train. So again, in the NFL, any given Sunday, anything's possible, but this is a must win for Indianapolis, especially too when you're chasing a 3-0 Tennessee team in your division.
Ravens at the Washington football team, formerly known as Redskins, and I think the Ravens blow them out of the water. They make them change their name another time because they just lost to Kansas City. They've been, like Babs said, they look like fraudulent. Everyone calling them frauds. Everyone's calling this. They're just getting name called all week. They're going to take all that out on Washington. I don't think it's close. I don't know what the spread is, but it better be triple digits.
It's 13.5.
Wow.
It's high.
And I think
Do you
they could.
and I wouldn't touch that. I'll go before you, Brendan. I mean the Ravens. You got to pick the Ravens in this game, but in terms of the spread, I don't touch high spreads like that. I think the Washington football team can sneakily end up losing by 11. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's one of those things where they lose by 12. Like, it's just like that. Or like Monday Night Football, the over under for Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Ravens was 54.5, and the final score 54 points. That's just Vegas knows.
There's nobody better at their job than Vegas is at making odds. Like,
Vegas
there's no doctor
makers
out there better at being a doctor than anyone at Vegas is being like Vegas.
Yeah, when they give people like how long you got to live, they're always off by like 2-3 years.
All these games are pre-recorded. Vegas knows. They play NFL on Saturdays.
No fans of the team.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Ravens here too. I was really tempted to take Washington just to be different, but yeah, I need the win in my record book to move up in these standings.
Babs would have took Washington to do that, but you need to be smart this week.
Giants, Rams. I think is a tank for Lawrence in the city of New York. The Jets just lost, and I didn't think that the Giants were gonna beat the Rams either way. But this is just more incentive. They're gonna beat the other New York team by losing more and getting Lawrence. It's gonna come down to 1 and 2, or Jets, Giants, either order.
Trevor Lawrence to New York,
though.
just the matter of which one. That New York Giants team was mediocre at best when they had Saquon Barkley, and without him, they're a joke. New York football is a joke right now, and it's really hard to see it. But the Rams are gonna beat the New York Football Giants.
With sports gambling this year and doing all these parlays, it's now you're starting to root for other teams. Like, I've shied away from fantasy football. Now you get into the actual sports gambling. I was a Giants fan last week, and I was a Falcons fan for the last 2 weeks. I can't believe that these teams have real fans, because it's just like, how can you go against the San Francisco 49ers backup QB, nobody on their defense? They had no George Kittle. Like, they had no running back. You were literally – the New York Giants were playing the fucking – like a high school football team out there, a college D2 team, and they got stomped on, like absolutely obliterated. So there's absolutely no way that the New York Giants are going to win this game. The tank for Trevor Lawrence is interesting because is Daniel Jones their guy or not? And I think that Trevor Lawrence would actually be a good fit for the Giants. It's a great market for him. That's actually something I can get. And same thing with the Jets if they want to get rid of Darnold. And if
you end up with the first overall pick this year, it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback. You're taking Trevor Lawrence. Just the way it's going to work. Yeah.
You're going to end up making a trade. Again, this is another game where the Rams have a 12.5-point favorite. Do they cover that? And that'll be the interesting thing. They could have beat the Bills last week, and they almost had that comeback, 28-3 comeback.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah, they almost did it.
Speaking of Bills Raiders, I think the Bills are good. I think the Bills are a very, very good football team.
You're not alone thinking that.
I don't think the Raiders are good at all. I think the Raiders are a fraud team. I think they got their praise because they won a Monday night game against Drew Brees, who can't throw the ball 10 feet long anymore. And I think there was so much hype around the Raiders, and they came to Foxborough. They're going to beat the Patriots, all this stuff. And then they just showed that they're the Raiders. They're not going to do anything. Yeah, the Bills are the Bills. I think the Bills are good. I believe in Josh Allen. I like Stephon Diggs. I like watching this Bills team, which, like, I don't know if that's taboo to say or whatever because it's an AFC East rival, but they're a fun team to watch. And until, like with the Bears, until they prove me otherwise, I'm picking the Bills.
I agree. Looking at my notes here, let's see. The Bills have scored 31 points a game here, and if you tell me the Raiders are going to score 31 points against the Bills defense
in how many games?
In 3 games, you're kidding me. You gotta be lying to me there. So I am going with the Bills to win this game, and Bills Mafia, baby.
I disagree with both of you. I'm going to go the opposite way here, and I'm going Raiders. I'm going Raiders this game. When you look at the Buffalo Bills, I am a believer in Bills Mafia. I am a believer in the Buffalo Bills. They've been to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. They will make the playoffs this year. Whether they win the AFC East or not, we'll find out later. This is actually the biggest prove-it game for the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought last week was, and that wasn't a game I didn't want to touch because the Rams, I thought, were a legitimate team coming in there. And they handled it, but they almost blew that huge lead. The other 2 wins the Buffalo Bills have had, New York Jets and Miami football. Those don't count, guys. That doesn't count. Last week was their first real test, I think, and now they have a back-to-back week. If they can prove and win, if they can win and prove it this week, I give Buffalo all the credit. Let's flip this to Vegas, though. Vegas went into Carolina. They got it. They eked out a victory by 3 points, 24-21, I believe. And then they won on Monday Night Football. I know that Drew Brees did not have Michael Thomas. That was a big deal. Another thing for the Vegas Raiders, they haven't been playing with Trent Brown. They have no left tackle at all. They're playing with like their 5th stringer for all I know right now. Henry Ruggs also was out last week. And you got to give the Raiders some credit. It was like pretty much a 3-point game going into halftime. A couple bad mistakes happened with like the Derek Carr fumble. Shout out to Dietrich Wise, by the way, the fumble recovery in the touchdown, and that really changed the momentum of the game. I believe having Ruggs, and they have a great tight end, and Waller, I believe his name is, Josh Jacobs. this is a must-win for both teams, I think. But it's more, I think that because they're in Vegas, I know that home field doesn't matter really, but I just have a feeling that the Vegas Raiders are disrespected a little bit, and Buffalo Bills are favored in this game.
As they should be.
The Buffalo Bills are favored in this game. I've been on the Vegas Raiders, Oakland Raiders train for a couple of years, and this is the year I think they finally put it together. 3-team parlay of the week. You take the Cleveland Browns, you take the New England Patriots, you take the Vegas Raiders. 3 underdogs, $20 to win $500. I like all those 3 teams this week.
2020 has been weird, but it's not the year a team from Las Vegas makes the playoffs.
Hey, happened in hockey the first year they had a team over there. They made the playoffs.
And lost the Stanley Cup.
2 more games and final thoughts. We'll get out of here. Eagles, 49ers, Sunday Night Football. If the Eagles don't win today, then they never are going to win this season. So I'm picking Eagles. Kittle's back. Mullins didn't look terrible, but I'm picking Eagles. They need to win this game.
Tyler, your Philly's showing. Your Pennsylvania's showing a little bit.
Well,
49ers.
I've been picking them because I've been watching all the Philly games with my roommates, so I want something to root for. I'm am I still mad that the Eagles beat us in the Super Bowl when we won 6 Super Bowls?
Yes.
No. I'll get over that. So I'll watch for entertainment or something. But I'm picking Eagles over 49ers.
The 49ers.
I think the Eagles are comfortably the second most watched team that I've watched the past 4 years.
Because of your locale. Because of the local jurisdictions and blackout restrictions there. But the 49ers are starting to get some of their studs back. I think George Kittle, Raheem Mostert, I think are both coming back this week. I think that team starts putting it back together. I think they're half decent football team, and Philly's not. Carson Wentz probably isn't going to be starting for the next 3 weeks. They're going to be moving on to a new quarterback here in the near future. Carson Wentz is on his way out. So transitional periods in football, usually you want to root for the other team, and I think the 49ers are going to win this game.
It's amazing to see the rise and fall of a lot of these franchises in the last 20 years, being a New England Patriots fan, and they really, truly do come and go. And that being the Philadelphia Eagles, coming off that Super Bowl 52 victory, you got to give – that's why we said Big Dick Nick. You got to give credit to what they did that year. But what a one-and-done team that is. They end up sneaking in the playoffs the next couple of years. They do the underdog thing with the dog mask, blah, blah, blah. But listen, they're going to lose this game to San Fran. Sunday Night Football, now all eyes are on you, Philly. Like, you sucked this season. Now everyone's going to see you suck. Everyone's going to see you suck on the road. I really do wish this game got flexed out. Next week, week 5 is where games can start getting flexed. The New England Patriots already got flexed from 1 p.m. to 4:25 against the Denver Broncos. It was the only flex they did of the week. This shouldn't be a Sunday Night Football game. It looks terrible. But like you said, Brendan, you got George Kittle coming back this week. It's an added bonus. If San Francisco can go into New York and beat the Giants, they should absolutely handle them at home and handle the Philadelphia Eagles at home and beat them.
With no crowd especially.
What I love is that you have, the benefit for the Philadelphia Eagles was having no crowd against the Bengals, because imagine how reckless it would get out there.
Well, the virtual cheering still booed them somehow.
Yeah. It's funny because on Instagram, I like Eagles fans. I have some respect for them, and I talked to a few of them throughout the year. They fucking hate this team. They hate everything going on right now. And it's amazing to see it because the Patriots lost Tom Brady and we're 2-1 and you guys are 2-1. So it's just funny to see that. But again, San Francisco in this game.
Yeah.
And then Monday Night Football, we got Atlanta versus Green Bay. If you think I'm ever picking Atlanta, then take a hike. Green Bay in a wash.
Green Bay by a million here. Yeah, it's hard to see what the Falcons are going through since they lost a Super Bowl.
Just to be the other guy, I'm going to pick the Atlanta Falcons this week. I feel that the Atlanta Falcons are not an 0-16 team. Green Bay is a legitimate team, and I'll pick the Falcons. I don't have them in any parlays because they're on Monday night, and when I'm picking them here is because I don't have them gambling this week. So they'll probably end up winning because I don't have betting on them this week. The Green Bay Packers are favored by 7 points. You're 0-3 Atlanta Falcons. You have to throw everything out there to win this game. And I would take the Atlanta Falcons and I'd take the over in this game. And I'm only picking them just to be different, just to get that. I need to catch up to you guys. So I need that little one-up this week. And it's got to be the Atlanta Falcons. And I'll take them on Monday Night Football. I don't think the Falcons are a terrible team, but God, where's their confidence right now?
They don't have any.
I know. And maybe having that extra day off, and it's a Monday night game. It's prime time. Everyone's watching you. You can redeem yourself. But this is it. I think their franchise is on the line. I think this is it for them. And is Julio Jones must be playing this week, right? Is he back yet? Like, what's going on with him?
Might be playing for another team, based on what I'm hearing.
Really is the real deal, though.
I'm just taking the Falcons just to be different here, just to have something different.
I respect it.
Those are our Week 4 picks. We'll update you guys next week. Final thoughts. Brandon, we'll start with you.
Oh, shoot. It was a fun Celtic season. It was fun to travel around. I went to Portland for the first time. I look back on all my memories from this season. Went to Portland for the first time. Visited the Moda Center, I think, up there. That was a fun time. But it was a fun Celtic season. It was a fun Red Sox season. Both those guys found their way out the door on the same day of the year, which was kind of heartbreaking. But it is what it is. Sports, you live and learn. You live to cheer another day. Teams will be back. Celtics will be better next year. The Red Sox will be definitely better next year. But definitely two teams to watch in the future. It was fun seasons.
Babs?
Final thought, I saw the rumor that they might be letting fans in the stands at Gillette Stadium. They've had the separation at concession stands. Those photos have leaked out there. I know like GRD is going to Kansas City. He's trying to shove it in my face. Like, oh, like I'm going to a football game. It's not the fucking same, dude. I would not want to go to a football game this year, even if you're spread apart. It's a waste of money. Like you're spending because you don't understand how expensive those tickets are to get.
Yeah,
especially because there's limited. There's a lot less ticket, and you have to
supply and demand, baby.
You have to grab them, and then there's only limited amount of concessions. You have to wear a mask at all times. I'd rather just sit in the comfort of my own home, like watching these games. Double final thought. Don't have twins. If you're gonna have a kid, just have one kid, please.
I was waiting.
One kid.
I was waiting for your first twin.
I am officially. What's today? Thursday. So I'm 6 weeks into this, and it is hell. I go back to actual work on Monday, and like.
You've been on maternity?
Half of me, I've been on paternity leave, and half of me wants to. I'm eligible for 16 weeks, but Daddy needs to go to work to make money because he has no more paychecks coming in. Unless I hit a parlay this week, if I can hit a parlay, I can stay out a little longer.
Or use my final thought. My final thought is, if you're listening to this, believe in my brain. I'm about to make the craziest merch for Boston's Big 3. Like, just invest in my brain. I was talking to my friend about this today. I need someone to invest in my brain. If you want good merchandise, this is my pitch to you right now. If you want good merchandise, you want unique merchandise, you want merch that you can literally request, just DM me and I will make it for you and I will send you the link and you can buy it and you can tell your friends to buy it. I will make any merch that people want. Like someone asked for a Rex Burkhead thing, Chase Winovich asked for a Rex. Like I am open to making anything. It's gonna be a good design. I'm gonna take my time on it. I'm not gonna mail it in. Believe in my brain. Boston's Big 3 to the moon. That's all I got.
Wait, I will say this before you stop, is that we will have one design at least. Someone will make it in our group that's going to end up blowing up. Like there will be one thing.
And it will be me. I know it for a fact. I'm going to put up too many shots. I'm going to have to hit on one. Like my shooting percentage.
Be like Ben Simmons shooting from three.
That
one of them will go
that 2% is going to be worth like $100,000. Believe in it. Trust me. You're listening
to like Feidelberg. You'll create the new Saturdays are for the boys, and then I'll cash in on that.
Boston's Big 3 episode 76. This is a wrap. We'll see you guys next week. I'm going to be leading Joe Stafford by the time